Fun Club, and we can rename it.
I know, like, what is it?
The Fun Club Committee. I don't know. We can change it if y'all can think of a better name. I couldn't.
So everybody in this particular meeting is in the fun group.
Yes, this is the
I
fun
know,
group.
I couldn't even like what's the fun. I remember the fun part.
I'm always up for fun.
Exactly. I was going to England would be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So, hi, my name is Karen. I'm one of the founders of Healers Unite and Soella.com. And through my journey, I met with a whole bunch of healers like you. And through that process, in my angelic Reiki class, I woke up with a desire or a strong knowing to create a directory. So for some reason, I felt like it was a way for us to connect and to build ourselves up. It was the start of it. I spent 2 years creating the directory, and right now you can post all your events online for free, hopefully forever. Or at a really low cost, something to help us grow and to unite and to keep us, together. So whatever comes our way, we can weather any storm together. Also, and Brooke is usually with me as well, and but she couldn't be here today because she's with her kids on one of her kids is in gymnastics, and so she's at the tournament there, so she can't join us today, unfortunately. But so we're gonna have fun anyway because it's the fun times. This is the fun group, so you're in the right place. Okay. And so that's me, and I'll pass this off to Mary. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
I'm Mary Elizabeth Gonda. Make this short and sweet. I'm a Reiki master. I also an intuitive reader. I do runes, tarot, oracle cards. Those are my modality. So where am I from? I'm from here. I literally like 5 minutes away from New Earth Energies. I love it. Spoiled rotten. Guys, I just wanted to take a brief moment. I was telling a friend of mine, yeah, I'm on my way to a meeting with a bunch of healers to listen to a lecture on crystal healing. How cool does that sound?
Yes, absolutely.
Really, guys, look at what you're building.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry, I just think this is so cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess.
Maybe.
Hey, I'm Jennifer. I've been to several of the meetings before. I've had several different healing modalities. Also, probably what I'll end up most focused on is tours to sacred sites around the world, and also spiritual guidance. And some of that will probably come from the activations that people get on the tours at the sacred sites. So anyway, and I will sign up for one of the future general meetings, because once I get the trip all together and the tour company in England, it's just verifying that the day I want to do the inner circle at Stonehenge is actually available, right? So they're going out to check everything right now before I start publicizing the exact dates and start signing people up. So
Awesome.
very close.
Sounds like great. Thank you for sharing. And Keith?
I'm Keith Rhines. I do soul realignment is the modality that I use in the Akashic Records. Your local.
Awesome. Thank you.
Short, sweet.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Breeder here today, so I just wanted to come in and connect with you guys.
Sure.
Here.
You
I
can-
might have to leave if there's a reading.
Sure. Would you like to introduce yourself
Sure.
or just doing a short
Yeah,
introduction?
sure. I'm Jacqueline, and I am a Reiki master. I also teach group meditation here. I've been doing my work for probably about 8 years and in the community. So just helping people. I do readings as well here. So yeah.
Well,
that's pretty much it.
thank you all for joining us. And we're gonna start with our feature healer now.
Yeah, so okay. Just quick preface. This is my first time ever teaching a workshop like this. I make jewelry full time. I more so see it as making spiritual tools, and I think that's something that you all would understand more than the general public. So anyways, I've been working with crystals for a long time, but before I get into the real introductory portion of this, I want to start with a few questions, just to kind of gauge everyone's knowledge of what we're learning here today. So, okay, so I know you work with chakras and Reiki, but how many of you work with Reiki on like a regular day-to-day basis? Just like raise of hands type situation. So
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
I should be more, but
Okay. Cool. So we're familiar with the chakras and what they are.
Yeah.
Is there anyone here who's not familiar with the chakras? Didn't think so. But I thought it would be a good introduction into the next question, which is how many of you work with crystals in your daily practice? Okay, cool. So I think that a lot of people work with crystals without really knowing how they work. And the best part about crystals is that you don't really have to know how they work to work with them and for them to still work. So I think the easiest way, or at least the way that I started to get into crystals, was just by intuition. I think that if you go into a store and you're new to crystals, a lot of times they'll say, oh, just pick what calls to you, and there will be a reason for it, which at its basis is a fantastic way to work with crystals. So if you had to pick one of these crystals on the table, which out of the 7 that I have here would you pick?
Is that a dragon?
It's a chameleon, it's a Labradorite chameleon.
Labradorite chameleon.
Okay. I would give it to you, but it's actually part of the
I
demo.
You're fine.
but that's the one.
Okay, thank you. And what would you pick? Okay, and what would you pick? This one? Beautiful. And what would you pick?
Kind of drawn to the time.
This one? That's okay. So this is carnelian. Yes, it does.
I know,
use
like,
the
from
striation.
here, it's like-
Yeah, I see the vision.
From
And
here, I see the stripes on this side.
right. And then which one would you pick?
Is that citrine, the orange?
That's orange calcite.
Orange.
So the whole point of me doing that is I'm going to jump back to that later at the end of the workshop. But for now, as you can see, we didn't all pick the same crystal. And it could have been because of the color, could have been because of the shape, could have been because it was a dragon / chameleon. That's pretty cool. So the whole point of it is we're all drawn to something different. And that is the case with most crystals. So everyone's intuition, and this is the reason behind the saying when you walk into a place when you're first getting on your spiritual journey, is because truly we're all operating from this subconscious state. And I'm sure a lot of us as healers have worked with programs that a lot of us get taught as we're younger and dismantling that programming. But at a core level, we're all operating from, we're not generally thinking unless we're incredibly mindful, which is a practice, but we're not incredibly knowledgeable on all of the actions and exactly why we're doing them and exactly how it's going to turn up. So as a general rule of thumb, let your intuition guide you is pretty good when it comes to crystals. But as everyone here is a little bit more versed in the world of crystal healing, there are general ways that you can figure out which crystals you should use. Now, I do think letting your intuition guide you is probably the best first step. But after that, if you want to get into, maybe you're working with a client and you want to figure out, okay, well, I can see or feel or sense that this client's throat chakra is a little out of line. Then you would say, okay, the chakras, they all come with a color. They all come with a vibration to them, a certain rate at which the particles are bouncing around that gives what we would call a frequency. So if you were looking for someone to get help with their throat chakra, we'd probably say, okay, how about this blue crystal? So we have Angelite, it's the one that you chose. So before we dive any deeper into like the chakras, their colors, and the crystals that we have, I'm going to now introduce myself and hold the lovely Labradorite chameleon because he does have a good vibe to him. So I started out my journey very young. My name's Kara. Don't know if I already said that, but just to add it in. Yeah, I was raised in the Christian church, and then when I was 9, I was like, okay, I don't know if what you guys are saying I'm really buying. So I actually identified as atheist for 10 years and really dove into science. So I worked with mathematics a lot, and then I actually ended up majoring in college in astrophysics. And I took my studies to space because that was something that had always interested me. I always found the cosmos to be one of the most unexplainable things. And if I couldn't believe in a power greater than me, at least I could believe in galaxies and black holes. And I found it intriguing to study some of the deepest layers of our reality. At the time, I just thought black holes were cool. I was like, well, how does a black hole form? What is a singularity? How did the universe start? Like, I started asking these questions very young, and that's why I ended up studying space so heavily and refuting that there even was a possibility of a creator. And when I got to quantum mechanics, that was one of my favorite courses in college because it was an incredibly challenging class. But once you get to the subatomic particle level, you start to find that the scientific laws break down a little bit. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you've all lucid dreamed before, but something that I always find interesting to do in a dream is to go up to the outside of the dream and look really closely at something like a brick wall or a banana or something. Just look at it. And what I found from myself and other people who have done this is when you look really closely at something in a dream, it kind of starts to get fuzzy. Has anyone ever looked at like something really close in a dream before?
Sis, I'm lucky if I can remember them right now, but I know what you're talking about. Does that help?
Yeah. Totally
I know
helps.
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I haven't done that in forever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I think it's a fun experiment. Next time you're lucid dreaming, just look at something really closely. And I kind of correlate that imagery of a lucid dream to quantum mechanics in that once you start looking really small, getting really up close to the matrix, if you will, if you all subscribe to the fact that we're living in a energetic frequency reality, which spoiler alert, I do, it gets fuzzy. It gets weird. The particles don't behave the way that you would think that they would behave. The laws get a little convoluted. And you see that if you look at quantum mechanics, you also see it if you look at general relativity, which is the opposite kind of quantum mechanics. If quantum mechanics is the study of something very small, general relativity is the study of things really big. And something that scientists have been trying to grasp for, I guess, the last 100 years pretty much, is how do we, well, pretty much since Einstein, how do we rectify general relativity with quantum mechanics? Because the laws at either end of the spectrum do not mesh. They do not go together. So string theory is something that they came up with, saying, okay, maybe this could rectify the two theories or the two studies. I think, and I think this is something that a lot of spiritualists can agree with, is that people who have had a spiritual practice have known how these correlate way before science has even caught up with it. And I mean, the answer for me, at least, is that everything is a vibration. Everything is frequency in form. So if you had an interesting science teacher in high school, you probably learned about the states of matter. So you have solid, liquid, gas, and then more recently, they've discovered plasma, which is above gas. And then you have the Ions-Bose concentrate, which is below solid. On either end of the spectrum, though, as we just stated, if you subscribe to duality at all, they are similar. So it's like you can have black, you can have white in color senses, but they're really all made of the same thing. It's just the absence or more of vibration. This comes to sound. This comes to colors, like we're going to talk about today with crystals. This comes to even sight. Like, if everything we're seeing is just a materialization of these vibrations, and this is a fun fact that you probably know, but if I kept hitting this chair because atoms are mostly blank space, it's just really small particles and they're moving so fast that it can seem as though it's solid. But there is a possibility that right now my hand could go right through this chair. It's a very small possibility, but it's a possibility nevertheless. So how this correlates to crystals is that if everything is moving all of the time, everything is vibration, matter is just vibration that's vibrating quickly in a solidified form, I guess you could say. The only time that things are not vibrating is when you're at absolute zero, which is where you reach the state of the Einstein-Bose concentrate, which was just actually discovered and photographed this year. If everything's vibrating all of the time, and this is why I like to explain it like this to scientists who don't think that spirituality has any sense or root in reality, is that if I'm holding something that's vibrating, all of the atoms in this are vibrating in a certain way, therefore it has a certain frequency that it would emit. If all of the atoms in our body are vibrating all of the time and they all have a certain frequency, if I'm speaking to spiritual people, if you know that each chakra has a frequency that would emanate a certain color, like red is vibrating slower than blue or purple, which are on complete opposite sides of the color spectrum of visible light, why then, when I hold this crystal, would it not affect my vibration? Why would this vibration not affect my vibration? It's the same concept as, like, for example, if you are near a stove, that stove is hot because there's electricity running through it. It's heating up. Those atoms are moving faster. That's what causes heat. And now if this is a hot stove and I touch this hot stove, my hand is now going to feel hot because I just touched something with a higher frequency than what I have. So it's going to transfer into my hand, giving it the effect of burning. That is an energy transfer. So is everyone following so far? Because that was kind of like a lot of stuff. Okay, cool. Any questions, I guess I should ask before I keep going? Because that was like my bread and butter. That is where I think science and spirituality mix in a way that most people don't think that they do. So transforming from that into the crystals. Crystals, a lot of people could say that they're similar to Western medicine in that you have to take a prescription consistently if you want to be able to feel the effects of it. And not only that, an expired prescription won't act the same way as a fresh prescription will. So how that metaphor relates to crystals is that, the expiration date, that has to come with cleansing and charging your crystals. Because even the phones that we have, like let's say we got a little iPhone or Android on us right now, they contain crystals. They contain mostly quartz. They also contain copper, and they contain those because they're energy storing devices and energy transmuting devices. So it can store and also transmit energy. So if you think of that in the way you're thinking of crystals, you have to charge and cleanse your crystals because they hold information. A lot of people, they'll wear a bracelet forever and they'll never take it off. And maybe for the first couple of weeks you have it, it's doing what you would want it to do. But after a while, that crystal is going to become full of the energy that you have put into it via wearing it on your wrist. So common practices for cleansing would be putting it in salt, because that kind of sucks everything out of it. Same as like putting your phone in some rice. Or if it gets wet, I guess you should say. So the crystals, when you put them in salt, they're going to realign themselves. That salt is going to suck all of the energy out of it, and you're left with a blank slate, basically. You can also put them under the moon. You can also run them in a creek. That's a fun one because it's like you're getting earthy energy into the crystal too. So that is a way to cleanse your crystals. You can ask further questions about that later if you want to. Google is a pretty good resource when it comes to cleansing. And then charging, that's how you give your crystal its energy. It's going to already have an energy signature based on the color of it. So we were talking about frequencies. It's like orange is going to have a frequency that correlates to the sacral chakra. So a good way to charge that one, or a good rule of thumb when you're charging your crystals, is whichever hand you feel like you give off energy to. A lot of practitioners I've heard will say, put it in your right hand. You put that crystal there, you put your intention in your mind, and however you tend to transmit your energy, do that towards the crystal. If you can visualize it, if you can think it, whatever works for you, put that in your hand and send that intention into it. That's charging. And then after the crystal's been used for a while, that's when the cleansing comes into it. So we keep talking about crystals and their colors and frequencies and vibrations. So I have all of the chakras laid out here, plus a fun little bonus of a chameleon labradorite crystal, because I thought he was gorgeous. So red, root, orange, sacral, yellow, solar. I'm not going to go through all of them because you guys know your chakras, but you can extrapolate the meaning of the chakras onto the crystals. So if you're looking for something specific for someone, as we started this with, like if I wanted to use that blue crystal for someone's throat chakra, you can basically create the meaning of the crystal based on the frequency of the crystal that's based in your understanding of chakras. So if you know the meanings of the chakras, if you know the frequency of which one is out of line or in line, then you can basically figure out what any crystal means. There are nuances to each one that if you study crystals more heavily, you can figure out. But for the most part, the color, whatever that, so okay, like if I was looking at the red one, if I was looking at carnelian, I'd be like, okay, carnelian, really good for creativity, really good for sexual arousal, really good for any type of rooted, peaceful energy within yourself. That's what carnelian, if you're drawn to that one, those could be things that you're craving more of a balance in your life. I mean, even down to the shapes of crystals also matters. Like a pyramid is going to perform differently than a raw specimen would. So you can use that knowledge to focus your energy. And it's like, this is only a 15-minute little seminar here. So there's so many nuances to how crystals work, such as, like I said, their shape, their color, the variations in color. But for today, really the message that I was trying to get across to you is that everything is vibration, everything is energy in this material form. And so you can look at a crystal, assess it based on your knowledge of the chakras, and from there decide what is best for yourself, decide what is best for your client. And I think the other thing that I would really like to hit on is I think a lot of practitioners will oftentimes negate the importance of cleansing and charging your crystals. I do think that is important, especially if you work with them very closely in your practice, because it's just like cleaning your house. If you don't, like they're just not going to be as effective as they would be otherwise. But to wrap this up, how long have I been talking for?
Let's see here. You're good. It's probably about 15 minutes. Yeah.
Sweet. So to wrap this up, going with what everyone chose. So, Angelite, for you, if I were to have someone, because I make jewelry for a living now, as I said in the beginning, if I had someone choose that one and they were asking me, okay, well, what does that mean about me, right? Because that's what they always love to ask. So it's like, if you're doing tarot, if you're doing oracle, if you're doing crystal healing, everything has a meaning and nothing is by coincidence. So if you were to say that one, the pyramid itself is one of the most focused energies that you can have. So since you chose Angelite, that is a very, of course, associated with the throat chakra. So I could see this as you being able to express boundaries, truly like speak your world into existence, speak your inner world outside. It's like this whole concept of being understood. Not that that's the goal, but if you are in a relationship with someone and they want to understand where you're coming from, or you want to understand where they're coming from, this is kind of the one to do it. Because if we talk about focused energy with the shape, this is going to focus your words to mean to speak with intention. So I could see this for you, since you chose this one, being a practice in speaking intentionally and making sure that your words align with exactly what you want to convey or to create in your life. And then I'm not surprised that a lot of you chose labradorite. This is actually a very popular crystal within the collective right now, because this year has been a transformation. And labradorite, if we're talking darker crystals, that's always going to be some form of protection. So this is going to be a protective stone, but as you see the light shift on it, it's also a stone of transformation. So I always tell people when they see labradorite, as the light shifts, the light in you is also shifting. It's also a good intuition stone. So I think that correlated with the year that we're in. A lot of people are being drawn towards labradorite because it is at its core going to help you connect to your highest self, your intuitive downloads, and transform in a way that is best for your highest self, your highest good, and the highest good of the collective, while protecting you through emotionally, physically, whatever, protecting you through the transformation that you go through. So I could see that being a pertinent topic for you all. And then this one, Creek Carnelian, I kind of spoke about that earlier, but that's definitely going to be like making sure you're grounded during these times, making sure that you have that connection to nature, to source, whatever grounding means for you, really. Usually when people pick that, it has something to do around the grounding aspect, or maybe you're looking for more creativity, or even this one might be a little bit of a stretch for the crystal, but even balance. Carnelian can be a really good stone of connecting the root to the crown, making it so that your ideas can physically manifest into the 3D dimension. And then orange calcite, sacral, that, you know, going off of the meaning behind the sacral chakra, that one is generally focused around, well, any type of calcite is a very soothing stone, but the orange specifically, we're going to be looking more into like divine feminine. And I do see this as like a year of a divine feminine, and kind of more stepping away from the divine masculine, moving in less from survival and fighting, more into going with the flow and really listening to the heart center and intuition. Interesting that no one chose prehnite. I would have expected that from the group of healers, because prehnite, this green one right here, this one's known as the stone to heal the healer.
I think we're doing that this past year.
Yeah.
Actually, so
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's go
there.
Yeah. Good.
And I'm going through a lot of transformation. So
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Very cool. Well, thank you all for listening so intently. I appreciate that. Definitely was a little nervous in the beginning, but I think I settled in. So thank you all for being here, and I hope you learned something. For sure.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I have
Interesting journey through astrophysics.
It is.
Yes.
It is. I mean, when I was 9, like that was when I questioned consciousness. Like I remember being in my room trying to picture what it was like after I died, and I couldn't do that. So I pictured what it was like before I was born. Couldn't do that. So for me, it's always been trying to discover where I came from, where I'm going, and why I'm here. That was the whole reason why I wanted astrophysics in the first place. So while it seems like a stark contrast, I think it was actually probably divine alignment that it all.
Well, I used to think that to do spiritual work, you had to be like a reader or work in a crystal shop. But I learned that spiritual work occurs everywhere you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent 42 years in the tech industry.
Yeah.
And I was doing spiritual work every day, but I didn't understand it that way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now I do. In
Yeah.
the last 10, 12 years, I understood it, but I didn't before. But when I was little, I used to lay on the grass and look at the sky and try to imagine God. Think, how could something have no beginning and no end?
Yeah. The whole concept of infinity.
Yeah,
is
and I
crazy.
mean, I'm like 7 years old.
Yeah.
And I look back and think, how many 7-year-olds are thinking like this?
Yeah.
This God word, what is that? And I would always conclude that I just, with my human mind, just couldn't conceive it because of the limitations of the human mind. But
And that's fascinating because I actually had such a similar experience. It was, again, like 9 was just transformative year for my growth. But when I was 9, I was like on the way to my grandmother's house, like in the back of the car. And I remember thinking, like, how does God know what I'm doing, what other people are doing, what everyone's doing right now, thinking, feeling, doing? How does one thing know that?
yeah,
And I could not wrap my head around it. And then when I started studying astrophysics, I was like, wait, so no one knows how the universe started? Like, it's a theory?
yeah.
That was so wild to me.
There's so many things that are theories that people take as fact.
Yeah, I know. And that's,
Evolution.
You can make money on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, like, I have identified as spiritual at this point, which I'm sure that you all might resonate with this a little bit. But I always found that religion was, it was like a box, and you had like a direct method to get to one place. And for me, I'm just like, I've never thought inside the box. And I think that spirituality is such an individualistic process. And I love how we can all be here today and have similar but so separate modalities, and especially in the way that we practice it. It's because it should be personal. It should be personal. And I remember when I believed that I was God, that was a whole trip in my ego. But now I've come to a place where it's like, well, I think that God knows what everyone's doing and thinking all of the time, because God is all of us. We are all God.
Yeah.
That's the conclusion that I've come to.
I just say religion's like ice cream. There's a flavor for everybody. So it really doesn't matter which one you partake in. Just get the one you like the best.
Yeah.
That works for you.
Can agree with that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And how do people get in touch with you?
If you guys use Instagram, I do partake in the interwebs, but Instagram is the only one that I really use at this time. I mean, you can catch me through email. Which could I? Is it
Sure, yeah.
write this down?
Oh yeah, you can give it to me, or yeah, I'll take it
Okay.
and then I'll post it.
Okay.
Tell her your Instagram.
Instagram. Okay, so the Instagram is NEPTUNIAL_modeling. OMDELING. Yep. And it's funny, I named my business Neptunial Modeling because Neptune's always been my favorite planet. But then I found out the astrology behind Neptune, and I was like, it's all coming together. It's all happening for a reason. Yep.
And your email?
So the email is KARA. This is my full government name, Kara, and then the middle name is ASHLAND. So Ashland Snow SNOW @gmail.com. It's supposed to be Ashland, but my father wrote it on my birth certificate, so Ashland. But I think it's cool though. Ashland. I mean, it's a candle company and a gas station. I think that's just a beautiful duality in the making.
Awesome.
Yeah. So thanks for having me.
One without the other.
Right. Absolutely.
I have fuel for the fire.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
And then I'm gonna try and turn this so this captures everyone, maybe. I think we get pretty much everyone, I think. You're good. If you want, you can sit over
I do know if I want to be on TV or great.
Okay, so sometimes I feel like we all need to let loose and have fun and have a good time. What better way with like-minded people? So I was thinking we can do a little brainstorming today. Maybe think of some ways we can connect together. And then maybe at the end vote and see which way we want to go.
Sorry, before we conclude,
Oh, sorry.
I do actually have a question.
Oh, yeah.
Because you mentioned some of the cleansing techniques.
Yeah.
But you didn't talk about selenite.
Yeah.
What is up with that? Like, why is selenite the crystal that James cleans all the other crystals?
Yeah.
But is,
Yeah.
but it's the most fragile of the crystals of the family. So I don't know. I was just wondering if you could expand on that.
That's actually a great question. That's no one's ever asked me before, but I do use selenite as a cleansing tool as well. A Reiki master taught me this too, but have you ever used it on yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just comes the aura.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's
So-
what my Reiki master taught. Yeah.
That's cool. Look at that.
I'm wondering now.
Yeah.
We'll talk later.
Yeah. So I'm, and correct me if I'm wrong. Selenite isn't actually crystal. It's it's a mineral, which like the difference between crystals and minerals is just kind of like where they're found in the composition of them. So selenite is known as the cleanser, and it does cleanse a lot of stones, but even selenite, and they don't teach you this, but like even selenite can absorb energy. So it is like at its core fantastic for removing energy. Like I would call it like I usually call it the smudge of the crystals, because you can use it very similarly. As far as like the thing that makes selenite more of a cleansing crystal than say quartz is because selenite's not going to absorb the same way that a quartz would based on the crystalline structure. So if we get into like the atomic arrangement of crystals, quartz is more set up to contain energy where selenite is not. If we want to go deeper into that, I would have to do my own personal research on that. But as far as I know, it's just because selenite's not going to hold energy the same way that a quartz specimen would.
How long should one keep a selenite?
You can keep it forever. Yeah. Yeah, no, for
Even
sure.
though it'll absorb the energy, the negative energy and stuff like that, it's still good.
Yeah, so I mean, it is going to absorb energy, but it's going to absorb energy at a much slower rate than any other crystal. And when I say cleanse that, selenite is a great one to be cleansed under the moon.
Yeah,
If
that's
you
what I
want-
was gonna say.
Yeah, put her out under the full moon. And if you think it needs a deep cleanse, I think one of the best deep cleanses you can do is keep a crystal outside from the full moon to the new moon, because that's the whole half cycle of release. You can even put it in the ground. I've heard a lot of people bury their crystals and just because the earth has a negative charge to it. So it's gonna attract all of that out of there. And that's just like, that's some chemical processes of like ionization. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but that is something you learn in chemistry about how electrons flow. I don't think it's called ionization. Just kind of threw that out there. Yeah, but so you can bury the crystals. That also works.
You can use Reiki on them.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, and that I actually love you brought that up, because I think that so many people think that cleansing and clearing and charging has to be done outside of themselves, but that's the point, is that you can absolutely cleanse your own crystals via yourself. We are, like we were talking about, the creator, so we can do whatever. We can cleanse it, we can clear, we can charge it, for sure. So that's a fantastic point.
It can also affect the weather.
That's a new one I've been practicing. Yeah,
Yeah.
elemental.
Yeah, I connected with Mount Kilimanjaro last year in Africa, and it told me a couple of things, and one of them was that there was a storm going on at the time. They said, observe nature, right? The power of nature. And it said you can affect nature and the weather. And so the vision I was getting was Yeshua calming the storm, right? And walking on the Sea of Galilee. And so I tried this recently. It was, I don't know, a month or so ago, there was a tornado warning in North Raleigh.
Yeah.
And there was actually a rotation on the radar over like, it wasn't on the ground, but it was like over Umstead Park, but it was like coming right toward my neighborhood. And so I made my son come downstairs. I said, just come downstairs and work for a while. And then I put myself in my master closet. It was just the only room I have that doesn't have windows and stuff. And I sat there and I just focused on sending out calming vibration, like in every direction. And I did this for a while. And then the woman said, oh, I don't know what happened to that rotation, but it's gone now.
Wow.
You know, it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But I'm not the only one that can do that.
Yeah,
We
I
can
work
all
with
do
the weather
this.
too. I love it. Yeah.
It is one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
one of the things.
Well, and in fact, Raleigh doesn't usually get really bad weather. Worse up here in Cary than it is in Raleigh. And I don't know if it's because there's so many healers in Raleigh, but there seems to be almost this like protective aspect there. So I don't know if it's like a bunch of people all of a sudden going, no, you're not sending that here, or what. But next time there's a storm,
yeah.
just kind of like
It's like this, we put this protective bubble over it.
right.
you know?
It's like I'm not asking for it not to rain. I'm asking for it to be calm.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So
There's ways you
That's
can
cool.
practice that too, like in real time. I mean, obviously doing it with weather, but
Mhm.
even on like a smaller scale, it's like I've seen and done it myself, gone out into like a little pond, a little creek, and just kind of play with the elements and see how you can manipulate it.
Yeah.
Just even get ripples going in the water or the wind to pick up or something like that.
Cool stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Not I.
Oh,
I'm busy chasing 5-year-olds right now.
no, you'd be surprised.
We'll send the no tornado energy your way.
Y'all are the ones protecting me right now. I'm the one. I'm the one trying to. The transformation right there. It's new Scorpios.
Yeah.
Well, one of the reasons I want to take people on tours is because I have had so many remarkable things happen to me traveling. And I think some of it is because your everyday filters are like down and you're like more open to the experience or whatever. But I've had just incredible, mystical, magical things happen in Egypt, in England, in Scotland, but also national parks here in the US. And I, at this point, Africa, I had a leopard stare at me for 15 minutes and download something into me last year in Africa. And so life-changing things have happened. So that's what I want to offer up to other people. But yeah, anytime you can get like outside yourself a little bit or outside your routine, then really magical things can happen.
Yeah, and I've definitely seen that be a theme for the year too, especially with like Year of the Snake, like kind of letting go of the old.
Oh yeah, shedding.
Yeah, for sure. And also this, we kind of touched on it earlier with the shifting from like masculine to feminine energy. I've seen that as such a theme because I think it's, well, we did just move into the age of Aquarius as well, but I've definitely seen as a collective, like people are starting to realize I don't have to be in survival mode all the time. And I think we're starting to go along with that flow more, which is when I think of not sticking to routine all of the time. Not that routines are bad, but for me, I find it is less easy to flow when I feel trapped inside of a one way kind of situation. It's not ad. Were we doing an icebreaker or something?
Yeah,
Or what
I'm
was there?
sorry. I asked a
No, you're
question and
totally
now it
fine.
went,
This is cool.
we
It's
went
less
down.
connecting and getting to know each other. So this is
Okay.
great.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I didn't mean to stop.
No, it's fine. It's totally
No,
fine.
I'm so glad you asked. 'Cause
No, this was
that
a
was
great
great.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely beautiful.
I didn't mean to hold
No,
hold you
totally
up or
fine.
anything.
It's all good. This is our time.
Right.
Okay, so any more questions? Yeah.
There are no dumb questions. There's ones I think you can figure out on your own, but there, we can also figure them out together, and I think that's fun. Better to ask than to not ask.
Yeah.
That's the I taught high school math for a while too. That's the high school math teacher coming out. I love it. Honestly, it's so much fun. Well, because I always started it with the astronomy picture of the day, and then related the pictures of what we were learning in class, and it made it tolerable for most of them. So. Yeah.
I bet you were the awesome math teacher.
We had a good time. We had a good time. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get on to brainstorming. So do we want to just brainstorm suggestions as to what would be fun for us to do together?
Today.
Yeah.
Or in the future.
Well, not today, but yeah.
Yeah.
Brainstorm today
Gotcha.
for
I heard that.
and yeah, if we want to do this monthly or if we want to do it online, or do we like being in person and connecting in person? Is that better?
I like the hybrid. I like being able to do both, and that's because I can't always make it here. So
Right.
of course, I'm happy to jump online. I'll be sneaking into an office at work and go online. Oh no, guys. So,
Okay, you like
that
hybrid?
hybrid. So,
Okay.
Yeah, if I can do invest in like a projector or something, I don't know.
I like the idea of a projector. And that is also an investment, certainly.
Yeah.
But I think it would be, well, first of all, I agree with the hybrid thing. I do, because I think that it's nice to have the option to either interact physically or virtually. And the fact that it's recorded too, I do think that that's beneficial for people who can't make it during the sun. But I think a projector would be nice because you can even like screen share on the laptop so the people who are on hybrid could see it.
Okay.
My notes.
Okay.
But that is an investment.
Yeah, it is an investment, so that might be in a
Because
future.
I'm also looking into a projector.
Oh, yeah.
So it is an investment.
Okay. Unless, maybe it's something that someone in our community has or doesn't want. So,
That's true.
okay,
Like,
and
is this general things or is this the fun times?
Yeah,
It's
projectors are awesome. I'm passionate about them personally.
No. Well, I'm
For
asking.
fun.
No, I mean,
Oh, for
this
fun times.
discussion
yes,
strictly for fun times or
times.
just for general?
Fun time.
Okay.
Sorry.
I have one.
Sorry. So I wouldn't mind doing like a hike or something, go to a park or whatever that has like an homestead as you're going down some of the path. Like you can find crystals just laying on the ground. Not so much that you got to go pick them up and take them, which could potentially turn into somebody sees you or whatever. But you can just perhaps not necessarily a nature walk, it's kind of a crystal walk.
Like rock hounding?
Oh,
A rock, yeah, just something just to, like I said, not with the intention of digging things up and, having to worry about all of the legality stuff of where you are, but just something to, hey, look, here's a piece of quartz, and this is the rose, and this is the,
A healer's hike.
a healer's hike.
Oh, that's a fun name.
Love it.
So that's a suggestion for something fun to do. I mean, when you pick different parts of it.
Right.
Well, I also like a coffee shop or someplace where you can sit around. You could find one that has like nice seating, like Sola or some of the, not Starbucks, but some of the locally owned places.
Wake Forest Coffee
Local.
Company.
Coffee company. Yeah.
What's the name of that one?
Oh, sorry, that was.
Sola,
Sola is in North Raleigh.
Wake Forest Coffee Companies in Wake Forest. There's a lot, there's so many in Raleigh.
There are Nora, there's a bunch in Raleigh. I'm sure everybody's got some. But you can just sit around and if nothing else, just share experiences. Because I'm sure
Yeah.
we've all had super magical experiences. And I know I'd love to hear about other people so you get inspired by other people. So
Yeah, absolutely. I found something online. It's from Mystic Farms. I have no connection with them whatsoever. They're in Durham. They're having something not this Saturday, but next Saturday. And it's come out to Mystic for a great night of cocktails and magic. Distilled Deceptions is performed by a trio of professional magicians called the Carolina Conjurers. This trio will leave you in awe with spellbinding magic and sleight of hand for a great night of entertainment, and they have food trucks as well. So it's like a farm, they have a distillery, and they have like music there. I don't know. That would be interesting for us as well.
I like you were talking about with the experiences too. I have been to what is it, Mystic Farms?
Yeah.
I have been there, and it is a very beautiful location. Yeah. But I want to hear about everyone's not right now, but in the future, like when we get coffee or go on a healer's hike.
Yeah.
I want to hear about everyone's spiritual awakening because I always think that's such a fascinating topic.
Yeah.
I guess I'm thinking maybe a little bit bigger than I should be at this point, but I was thinking we could do a healers event, like kind of like where you would do a Reiki share, but like each of us come in and we could, each go around and have a session with each of us with a particular modality that we'll offer that day or something,
That would be really cool.
and seekers could come as well, you know.
Like a little, like a fair?
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
fair, like, not like a psychic fair, well, a psychic healer fair, like, I don't know.
They
But
have
yeah,
those.
something like that, you know, like a combination thing where we could all just, you know, offer up one little thing for somebody or something, and we can even each go to each other and, yeah.
I mean, I think you had it to potentially separate subcommittee or whatever we're calling it. So,
Yes, yes.
of doing a retreat, so, you know, either just local, like pick up Saturday or whatever, couple hour block and go to the lake or whatever and set up a group if you wanted, but just have it for each other, but then when people want to show up for that too.
Oh, that would be cool.
And then
That would be
obviously
really cool.
expanding that into potentially doing like a full weekend. Obviously, as we get more established, more people, we could do a longer term and whatever, go to Asheville or something, and, you know,
Okay.
turn it into something much, much bigger. But that's kind of the retreat slash somewhat fun times. But it'd be, like I said, something like you were suggesting, like practice with each other or show, you know, help teach or
Whatever,
Whatever.
whatever it is you want to offer, you know, whatever your modality is.
Yeah.
It
I
could be
love
kind of a fair.
Yeah.
and there's a lot of local things. You know, I mean, we could probably eventually go to like gym shows or something. Like there's other,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
outside of like BMSC or whatever to be a practitioner. You know, we just all got together and did a road trip to wherever to, hey, there's a gym show. Let's go hang out for some crystals.
Yeah, that's true. They do them
Awesome.
at the fairgrounds sometimes too, if they don't want to go that far out.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, there's so many other things to interact with. It's,
I just got captured by one a couple weeks ago. Wasn't thinking precious gems. I was thinking crystals. When I got there, the sapphire and diamond ring was like, got me by the neck and what the fuck.
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
This is,
mission accomplished for
Yeah.
the SF.
it's just very successful. It's in a very weak spot. Well, the universe was making me buy it because
Oh, sure.
it was
with
universe. Well, it was within 1 foot of the door. So I walk in and there it is. This is why you're here. Well, it's sort of, because I've been wanting one for years. And so I said, I see that. And it fit perfect. It's in the estate case. Fit perfect. All right, this is kind of expensive, so let me try to forget it. Although it was less than I expected it to be. And then I run into my friend. I said, I'm trying to forget about a ring. I saw a friend. He goes, oh, where was it? I said, it was that up there. He goes, oh, that's Jennifer. Okay. So now the owner has my name. The ring fits. The owner has my name. My friend knows her, has bought a bunch of stuff from her, and goes up there, looks at it, and then she shows me a new one. It's not as big, diamonds or the sapphire, and it's over twice as much as the one I looked at. So I'm like, okay, I'll take it. Because the newer ones, all the prices are going up because the dollar's going down. So the price of gemstones and hard assets is going up. So
oh, even gold. Gold
yeah,
has
gold.
skyrocketed.
I'm waiting for
recently.
silver to go up.
Yeah.
I get silver.
Well, but that's
Yeah. So anyway,
I was
another
gonna say-
magical moment at the gemstone. Gem show.
I mean, like I said, it would be just another one of those of something. I mean, there's also, I think they're more mid Piedmont area and west, but you could just go like go dig your own garnets or whatever, like go pay the whatever, and you can go out and dig up your own. And get to
Oh,
keep,
that'd
in
be
some place you get to keep whatever you dig up. So
Yeah.
we can find those kind of things. Let's do like a day trip,
That would
kind of
be
a
neat.
thing to go.
Rock hounding.
Yeah, go rocking.
Yeah.
That's another fun thing to do. It's
Okay.
we could rent a bus or somebody, you know, how many people wanted to go or whatever. Once again, you'd have to figure out.
Right. Right.
I think something I have seen other spiritual groups do is they go out to a place with very little light pollution and they basically stargaze, which is cool in itself because, you know, we can give constellation tours to each other and share fun space facts if we want to. But when there is a very energetic event, such as a lot of spiritual people gathering together, oftentimes a lot of strange phenomena will happen in the sky. From what I've seen, like sometimes there'll be unidentified flying object sightings. Yeah, so I think something like that could be fun. Just as I mean, I'm not saying like Raleigh is a good place for that at all. I don't think Raleigh. I think Wake Forest or just like slightly more north of here even would probably be ideal for stargazing just because of light pollution.
Yeah, you have to get away from Raleigh to see.
Yeah.
I'm in Franklin and it's good. It's nice. Like,
Yeah.
outside.
Okay.
So we've had some interesting things happen.
I like this.
Cool. I feel like summer solstice is a good time, or like spring, like on those portals.
Yeah.
Or even like when there's, like you said, an event like eclipse or something.
Yeah.
It could be meteor showers or whatever.
Yeah,
It
that's
could be
it.
some other astrological event that's not a major solstice. Or
Yep. I was just listening to a podcast on the way up here, the Bledsoe family, which is a family in North
Oh,
Carolina that Hathor comes to see. Hathor, which for me is like ding, 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 because there's a temple of Hathor in England, or in Egypt. It's basically divine feminine. She represents divine feminine, and and it's the hidden aspect, right? There's Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Yeah, have that Holy Ghost would be divine feminine, but they wiped that out, so they've hidden that away, right? Mary Magdalene represents divine feminine as a counterpart to Yeshua's divine masculine, right? So it's like it's always imbalanced. They took away the feminine when they put the patriarchy and stuff in place. So, but I'm going to go try to figure out where the Bledsoes live because they have all kinds of occurrences at their house.
They just did an event in Wilmington, I think.
Did it? So
I
they're in
knew
Eastern North
someone-
Carolina? you
Yeah,
think?
I have a friend. I can ask her if he lives in it, but she just went to his event like 2 weekends ago.
Yeah. So I just heard. I was hearing him on Fireside Chats.
It's interesting.
I see they have their own. I guess I'm going to check that out.
Yeah.
But,
He's been coming up. I've never listened to him, but he's been coming up a lot recently. So it's interesting.
yeah.
No, but
I guess
That's
that's just thing is going.
That's great. Yeah, exactly. Maybe I need to
trip to
listen
the
to him.
beach or something. Just to-
Trip to the beach.
I'm saying something where we could find quasi rock hounding, but seashell hounding
Yeah. Well, I mean,
or whatever, go find something that's not as populated.
Well, so Falls Lake, which is, it's probably not that far from here. Yeah. It takes me 30 minutes from where I am in Raleigh. But I actually find crystals there that are well formed enough to make jewelry with. Like I find crystal points out there and geodes.
Awesome. Yeah, we found some geodes out there too.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah, my
that's
daughter-
another fun time thing is we
Little
can
one.
make jewelry. Have a
Oh,
jewelry.
yeah.
I mean, I know
Yeah.
the one event they do here was designing a intention box or whatever.
Yeah.
That's one of the events they do, but that'd be something we could potentially get some beads and string and whatever and jewelry or stones or whatever and do jewelry day or something nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, I teach wire wrapping workshops around the area too. So if you guys want to go on any of those, it's not beading though. I know.
Well, I'm just
Yeah.
throwing out.
What do you mean by wire wrapping?
Yeah.
Is it a jewelry or?
Yeah, that's how I make my money is wire wrapping. But the one that I teach, I have a basic intro class and then I have like an intermediate and an advanced. But so basically like you just show up and you can bring in your own crystal to wrap too. But I just teach you how to use the tools. I bring the tools, tell you where to get wire if you want to do it on your own. But I can tell you that now too. It's not like an exclusive thing.
You have a tarot cards reading class? Or just read? Everybody just reads.
You're reading spiritual.
Read, you read for, whatever you see on the card, right? You don't have to follow necessarily the book. You just say, this is what I see in the card and translate it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, sort of open you up psychically more.
Doing one of Gina's little murder mystery parties. And, that would also
I
be
love
kind
murder
of
mystery.
cool.
Murder mystery party.
Yeah, Gina who did the tarot taught us.
Yes,
tarot
yeah,
last year. Yeah, Gina.
It's a murder mystery party.
what's the murder? Not murder mystery. She does, well, yeah, something similar.
Something similar to
Yeah, she does those. She hosts those.
Oh,
That'd be cool.
that would be cool.
And then we just like intuitively figure out who the murderer
Yeah,
is.
right? Like,
Oh, I thought that was it. I was like, I would do awesome. Yeah. Yeah, right.
Well, it would be interesting.
Gina, we got ideas.
It would be interesting to see if there are psychic games or.
There's so many. I play them all the time. Like guess the color that the other person's thinking
Yeah.
of or the number.
Yeah, so
Those
you
are
just
so
have a
fun.
fun psychic. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Play evening or afternoon or
For
whatever.
sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
We could do that on our healer's hike where we're also rock hounding and then we stay lit up because we look at the stars.
How
and
much
it's like,
are we, yeah, we do it at nighttime, huh?
Yeah.
I love it.
We'll be wearing our stones on the outside so we can be getting the charging from the moon.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, that's well rounded. Yeah.
I think, well,
Everything in one.
oh, hey, there's something.
Oh,
I mean, I guess something else too. I mean, you can just do like board night or something. I mean, just have some random,
We could just have game night.
have Scrabble night or
Just,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
Monopoly night.
I mean, there's a lot of,
Monopoly night.
No, Monopoly night. Okay, never mind
Yeah,
Monopoly.
anything else is fine.
no, yeah, I mean, just have a game night.
Jenga.
Yeah.
No to spoons.
Oh,
I want to talk about America.
yeah. That's for therapy.
Precisely.
okay.
I need to do like field games or something. Do like
Oh.
potato sack racing. Or
Oh,
whatever.
man,
You just
so much
random, just completely whatever childhood games you can get together.
I think if, whenever we do something, if we define the spiritual element to go with it, because a lot of the things we're talking about are right brain activities, so we're gonna be waking up that right brain.
Yeah.
And then if we like had some spiritual activity, we'd probably be even more
Oh, yeah.
open at that point.
Oh,
So,
Yes.
that's
Oh, yeah,
cool.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking of fun things that
Well, right.
just
Oh, yeah.
go out and do.
Just stuff that would bring out the inner child.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's fun.
painting.
Yeah.
Coloring.
Jewelry, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We could do herbal tea and cake one night.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just thinking about tea, so
So you are psychic.
yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah.
I have to go.
Oh, at 111.
Okay.
Congratulations.
It's
Perfect
All right,
timing.
yeah. Yeah, it was nice meeting you. Thank you
Yes,
for coming.
yes.
Thank you so much.
See you
We'll
next
see you
time.
next time. I'll be in touch. Okay, so when are we thinking we want to have our first event? You wanna do
Oh,
it this
wow, you want to plan a date.
Yeah,
Well, this month it's almost.
well, May. May. I was thinking May.
We're doing one right now.
Everybody get in the car, run!
I'm gonna make a start once a month if I'm maybe
Right.
potentially turn it into bi-weekly or something. I mean, I guess a question would be piggybacking off of someone else's event. You know, so showing up at a gym show, like where it's not going to be sponsored by one of the people in the places that we associated with.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, that's a question. Is
We can
do we
think
want
about,
to create our own stuff? Or like I said, potentially, I mean, if you want to go more than once a month, you'd be
Well,
like,
I think
hey,
people
blah, blah,
want
blah is
some
doing
other
something in
stuff.
Durham.
I'm sorry, Philip?
I apologize. I think to promote Sorella and stuff, you'd want to, right? You'd want to start doing healers, more activities and stuff to get Sorella out there and
Sure, yeah.
start doing more seekers and more healers and stuff, right? So I'm sorry. My May sucks, but whatever day y'all want to, I will aim for it.
Okay.
Is there a Sunday or a
We have
Saturday?
other feelers too that aren't here, like
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know, should we create a date and like something just to start it off?
That's what I was gonna
Or
say.
do a-
I would do a pool. So
Okay,
that
do
you
a
can
poll.
see it.
Of what
The
day
people that
is
are
on.
not here.
Okay.
I mean, it could be something.
Because you're
random
right, we don't
weekday
have voices
too.
here.
It's really happy to- yeah.
True. Are weekends better or weekdays? Or
I just
weeknights?
assume for everybody, if we wanted everybody to do something.
Maybe we could plan 2 events and then it's like, go to the one that you're available for, or
I mean, it
So
could
it's
be
never
tied in with just a general. too.
we can, yeah.
I mean,
Well, the
yeah.
general meetings, we kind of want it to be more like, I guess, focused on how do we elevate, how do we.
Correct. Yeah, so you have your regular meeting from like 5 to 6 or 7 or whatever.
Right.
And it's 7.
Oh.
Hey, we're also going to plan to have a fun event from 7
like
to 8
that,
or 9.
yes.
You know, that way it's,
I love that idea.
if you're already going to be traveling somewhere in the middle of the week, whatever, for something, sort of do something. That's the coffee for tea and chat or whatever.
Team thing.
Or, yeah, I mean, say it could be something like that.
Okay,
It's just same day, potentially same different locations, with, you know, whatever business is closed,
right.
whenever we get kicked out of the room. But just, you know, something else that would have space open.
I love it. I was also thinking.
Human-sized Jenga is always interesting.
Oh, yeah, that
Like
is
the
fun.
actual
Yeah.
2x4. You know.
Okay. Maybe what I'll do is I'll create a poll and put our events on it and see what we want to do for May. What everybody's interested in doing for May and come up with some different times to see. But I love all the ideas we created. And I also want to think about how we can also give back to the community. Like how us healers, how can we like, I feel like there are so many like forgotten people and I feel like we can reach them. And it's like, you know, the people that are poor and, you know, how can we help those that are in need and suffering? So it's like, how can we help them and showcase like our skills too, you know, and help them?
I mean, something I've done with other nonprofit organizations, you could do a food bank, you could donate your time to a food bank, or animal shelter, or
Animals and stuff.
Yeah.
Like doing Reiki
A
on
soup
animals.
kitchen.
Because the Reiki
Oh, that would be
it's like
cool.
animals that are stuck, like dogs, like they're scared in the shelters. Like,
Yes.
That would be awesome.
or just, yeah, feeling the rain. Just create a safe bubble. I'm sure there's a lot of things from scared.
Yeah.
Even like cleaning up like a park or something. But I've noticed recently there's been so much pollution in the water. So like, yeah, really bad.
Try to bring like
Yeah.
trash bag with us.
Yeah.
Maybe pick up that or something. Like I said, there's a lot of things you can sign up for and it's done through the city and actually get dealers, don't do like dealers or whatever. They could be a standing, actually the one we did street cleaning up at what's that one? What is that? Oh,
Like Johnson, Florida.
no, it's a smaller, it's a little public lake landing.
That's what you did.
It's just north of Shelley.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, there's like a mile or two, and you signed up for whatever, you do it twice a year. This is something else. Get it back.
Love it. Love it.
You can walk down the
I mean, what do you do?
I know, I'm like, it's just like, well, I'm kind of cleaning up over here. Ooh, there's some interesting things.
water here.
Sorry, I'm busy over here.
Directing the currents
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, and people that are in homeless shelters, I was kind of hoping to like reach. I was like watching this one video, and this lady just like sat outside and she just created a community among the homeless people, and they like it was like a 1 hour like meeting, and then people ended up staying after the meeting and bringing connections and staying overnight. Very healing for that. So I don't know, maybe some like doing something for people that really need help too, like maybe it's nobody, but oh, we can help.
That was part of my, the, sideways healer thing. Like if you could do something like that in a local community area.
Like anyone can come. Okay,
Yeah.
for free
It's
event
free,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
for free.
I love that idea.
And we all choose like one specific modality or something that we would like to offer.
Okay. I love that idea. I love it.
I think we could probably, if we did it in a more top-ish part, like I think that if we did do something like that, which I really do enjoy that idea, like not at a physical store, because some people are not gonna have.
I was thinking like
transportation.
a park.
Right.
I was thinking,
Right.
yeah, I was thinking of like.
Ooh, Moore's Square in Raleigh is so like, there's a lot of very sick people out there.
Yeah.
Moore's
Yeah.
Square.
So we can go set up shop at one
Yeah, I'm
square.
wondering if we could set up shop there. Like
There's a lot of people who do.
Yeah?
Because I've done some markets out there too, and there's people set up on the corners all the time. Like there's a lawless land out there. So if it was, as long as we weren't selling anything, you don't really have to go through the city of Raleigh to set up there.
Oh, okay.
Either.
Okay.
There's a place right across from me that I think once a week they have food drives. And so it is like there is a very large homeless population right there because there's a lot of people who go there, giving out food, hosting community events. And the reason why I think we would be fine to be there is because I would obviously look into it, but there's a lot of people who go out there and just preach on a microphone.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think we'd probably be even less intrusive than that because you'd probably just be there instead of projecting it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, but if I show up with no massage table. I'm off screen, right? You like it.
Well, I think since you're not making money, there's not really laws around that. Yeah, nothing. But I would look at. I can look into that.
Okay.
Pop up on the massage table. Here we go.
Right.
Red light, got my running shoes on.
I'll be the DJ. I'll get on the mic.
Play my running music. Okay?
Yeah. I'll
I
just
got a
play.
theme. I got a theme song. Okay.
I'll just play heart chakra frequencies. Let's do 432 hertz through the microphone.
I love it. Awesome. Well, look, I think we got some great ideas, and I'll put a poll together, and I think that we'll start our first fun time meetup in May. Maybe we'll reach you again. Maybe get coffee and a hike, or maybe coffee or a hike. Coffee one time, like another. Black Rock Foundry.
Yeah, I mean,
Slash stargazing. Summoning UFOs. Yeah.
And if anybody has a pool, I think it'd be really fun to do like bring your own float and float in the pool and have somebody like play crystal bowls or something.
yeah, I mean, somebody who lives in a neighborhood that has a community pool, we can reserve it. If you live in that community, reserve it for a couple hours or whatever. Do a party.
I don't
A
know.
party.
I live in an apartment. I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
get
I guess
past
so,
them.
I'm saying it's different,
Depends on it.
Yeah.
It's, and if you're there, you don't bring in some outside people. whatever.
Yes.
Some places have rules, some throughout, we have something to. I don't know if I want to. Cool.
We do have the lake too, probably, but this is
Ooh.
someone's doing the polls, well, you know, we find hiking spots all the time that are like off for no reason.
It's just my friend Joss, she does, that's Dr. Joss, she does this. Like she literally has, like you lay on this mat and you lay on a floaty, thank you, a floaty. And we listen to, there's somebody playing sound music, sound bath music, and she'll have like light strobes and stuff like that going on, whatnot. And it's beautiful. And sometimes it's out in the open. And yeah, it's really good. So she does these kinds of things.
See, that's cool. Yeah, I'm here
To
to
do like go tubing down the Neuse. They
Oh.
have like one of the people has.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
I'm saying somebody has soundboard or whatever, and you're just kind of floating down, and then.
I don't know why I
Like
was
drunk.
picturing like whitewater rafting when you said that. I was just picturing going down the raft.
I did too. And I was like, so who's gonna play this?
I'll bring my drum.
That would be right. Yeah.
Well, no, yeah, I mean, I've done tubing on renting to,
I don't
group
think of
together.
tubing. I didn't think of tubing. I thought it was about white water rafting.
I mean, we can do that
Same
too.
way she did. I'm like,
Let's go rock, we can do rock climbing, you know.
With the soundboard.
I'm saying, have that in the, what I'm saying.
Or even like paddleboarding and going off to a spot.
Paddleboarding.
Kayaking.
Yeah. And the fire some together thing.
Come on, that's the great side, right?
Yeah, well, that's, I think it's a good workout. That's it. But yeah, going tubing and having soundball, if you're just kind of drifting down the road.
Hey guys.
No, yeah, I like it. Have you guys ever heard of like high intensity interval training?
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say healer and skate.
I love it.
Yeah, I've done. I mean, I guess you can just kind of throw something out on Swell too. Just be like, hey, I'm gonna go out hiking at 8 o'clock at Homestead at the whatever gate. And anybody wants to join,
Yeah,
you're free to join. If not, then I'm just gonna go off my buddy with them.
yeah.
And it doesn't, I mean, you can still be organized. It's like, it doesn't have to be super duper long.
Right.
Do we have like a group chat somewhere?
So, part of it is that we have this community space where we can all, it's off of the social media platform. And you can, post anything that you want to our local group. So it's just for us healers.
It's like a thread or
It's under, it's like its own platform.
oh,
It's its own, entity kind of thing. And, it's just,
People start checking
Yeah.
that out more often to be like,
Yeah.
hey.
it's under our link tree under Healers United.
gotcha.
And it's just a way for us to connect without all the extra stuff that Facebook and all the other social media platforms kind of get us disconnected from. So, yeah, I could probably put something over there too.
That's what I'd like to do to get back on what you said, like if someone's doing something, you're like, hey, I'm doing this today. If you want to come.
Yeah,
I mean, you
Yeah.
plan a day or two ahead.
right, right.
Yeah,
Spur of the
but-
moment
yeah,
thing.
but- yeah. Yeah, this week. Yeah.
But yeah, anybody want to do the other 8 o'clock Saturday to go for a hike? What do we do? Go for a hike. A wire, whatever. Or it's too nasty
So you
hot.
can connect
You could kind of
everyone.
look at
in
it
it.
an event though on. already,
Correct,
so-
correct. I'm saying, man,
Right.
it could turn into a monthly thing, or it can,
Yeah, okay. Right.
we're gonna go to Falls Lake, we're gonna find a different place to go.
Love it.
Potentially turns into a rock down.
Or potentially
Oh darn, oh darn.
someone potentially brings a sound bowl and we end up. Say, "Look, right?
Well, thank you all for coming and sharing your insights.
No, thank you though. I appreciate the offer.